Well, hoping you have had a fantastic week. Welcome to another edition of Metropol Sportscentre. My name is Nation Oano. Time for us to look at some of the topical issues that have been the focus of conversation in the world of sports, both locally and internationally. Locally, there was the sad news of the passing of the 10,000-meter bronze medalist in the Tokyo Olympics, that is Agnes Tirop, was found dead in her house. Investigations are currently ongoing and we'll be keeping you up to date regards with how that whole investigation is going to be coming along. Apart from that, the following are just some of the things that you're going to be talking about on Metropol Sportscentre. First things first, the CAF Champions League have the preliminary rounds have officially kicked off. Gor Mahia is squaring it out against Al Merrikh tonight. The game is currently ongoing. That is Gor Mahia versus Al Merrikh. The question is Gor Mahia going to beat Al Merrikh? That's a conversation that you're going to be having, and you're going to be giving you an update on the scores at the end of the show. Away from that, the major game that is going to be being played locally, that is Tusker versus Egyptian Giants, that is Zamalek, that is going to be played at the Nyayo National Stadium. The question is, does the Robert Matano side look strong enough to beat the Egyptian champions, that is Zamalek? Away from matters local and continental sports, we are going to be talking about the English Premier League. Manchester United seems to be having blowing hot and cold at one point or another. They are winning games, they are losing games. Just what is the problem? I'm going to be joined on the set with Ian Ketanyi, who's a Manchester United fan, and also apart from that is our resident analyst on the show. First things first, we're going to be talking about the Women's Champions League. The following is just how the fixtures stacked up this past week. That is PSG versus Zotoblad. PSG managed to beat Zotoblad 5-0. Wolfsburg versus Servette SCCF, the game ended 5-0 in favor of Wolfsburg, that is the German side. And Juventus versus the Chelsea side, the game ended 2-1 in favor of Chelsea. Real Madrid versus Brenda Blick, the game ended 5-0 in favor of Real Madrid. That's a conversation that you're going to be following off. Remember that the competition is at the group stages. There are major games also which are going to be played. We are going to be giving you an update in terms of how the games are going to be played, which team is going to come at the top of their respective groups and proceeding to the next round of the competition. Now to matters local sport, that is the world or the sports fraternity, basically the athletes. The athletic fraternity in Kenya was thrown into distress this week with the announcement of the passing of Agnes Tirop. Agnes Tirop clinched a bronze medal at the just concluded Tokyo Olympics, that is in the 10,000-meter category. At the backdrop of that, the Athletics Kenya issued a circular saying that they had postponed the first and the second leg of the Athletics Kenya cross-country series, which was scheduled to be held on the October 16th and 23rd. And this particular move has been inspired in honor of the fallen athletes, majorly Agnes Tirop. Agnes Tirop is not the only athlete who has passed away. We remember that currently, as we are talking, there was the former Africa Junior silver medalist, that is Hosea Macharinyang, who allegedly took his own life at his home in Mukurjuit. Just a brief info about Agnes Tirop. That is a year she won the junior race at the Africa Cross Country Championships in Kampala, Uganda. Apart from that, she won 2 bronzes at the 2012 and 2014 World Junior Championships in Barcelona, Spain, and the Eugene, United States, respectively. She was also second place at the World Cross Country Championships in Poland and the second place at the 2012 Africa Cross Country Championships in Cape Town, I beg your pardon, in Cape Town, South Africa. Those are just some of the things that you needed to understand about Agnes Tirop. May her soul rest in eternal peace. Away from that, World Cup qualifier matches were played this week, and this is just the following is just the following, I beg your pardon, the following is just the result of some of the European results. Now, Portugal versus Luxembourg, the game ended 5-0 in favor of Portugal. Once again, the one and only Cristiano Ronaldo was the key man in this particular time. The question is, and we're going to be talking about that later on the show. The question is, why is he hot and cold at Manchester United? I know Ian Ketanyi is very ready to explore this conversation later on. Sweden versus Greece, the game ended 2-0 in favor of Sweden. Lithuania versus Switzerland, the game ended 4-0 in favor of Switzerland. Kazakhstan versus Finland, the game ended 2-0 in favor of Finland. England versus Hungary, the game ended 1-1. United Arab Emirates versus Iraq, the game ended 2-2. And Japan versus Australia, the game ended 2-1 in favor of Australia. And Saudi Arabia versus China, the game ended 3-2 in favor of Saudi Arabia. In the African continent, that is Niger versus Algeria, the game ended 4-0 in favor of Algeria. Ghana versus Zimbabwe, the Black Stars were able to beat Zimbabwe 1-0. South Africa versus Ethiopia, the game ended 1-0 in favor of South Africa. And Namibia versus Senegal, the game ended 3-1 in favor of Senegal. Togo versus Congo, the game ended 2-1. And Morocco versus Guinea. Those are just some of the details that you needed to understand in terms of how the World Cup qualifiers are currently ongoing. Remember, the past a few weeks, the past few days, the major leagues, that is the English Premier League and the Kenya Premier League, were on an international break to give time for the players to represent their respective countries. Kenya is automatically out of the World Cup qualifiers. This is because they were beaten by Mali 5-0 and also beaten at the Nyayo National Stadium, that is 1-0. That is a conversation that I'm going to be having also with my analyst Eric Shilenje after the break. Well, the result, that particular story wraps up the first part of Metropol Sportscentre. We do take a short commercial break. After the break, I'm going to be joined by our Africa analyst, football analyst, that is Eric Shilenje, to digest some of the major leagues in Africa. See you after the break.